I want to talk about love. It has been on my heart, and it is all about the mission of Your Unity.
I use the word unity is embracing where you are about and the community around you.
And so my point of departure is always stems from my faith.
Whatever's going to happen, God's people are going to be all right. And I want us to pause and just reflect on that one thing, that word love. It's 4 letters, such a short word, but it means so much.
And that energy naturally exudes,
Yes.
and people are attracted to those things.
It's just another moment for creative thought, and I think that has to be put out there for people to understand.
We can't control the whole world, but we can control ourselves. If each of us chooses love and unity in our own lives, the ripple effect can heal communities, cities, and nations. Welcome, everyone, to Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to live your life with courage. In this day and time, it is so important that we realize the strength that we possess. We must walk fearlessly every day into the power and authority that we have. We must own our confidence and realize that everything that we need in this life, in this world, to tackle anything that we are faced with lies right within us. I am your host, LeShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now. I'm serious. Tag a friend. Let them know that the Our Unity show is on. It's going to be a spectacular show. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful evening, and I mean evening. I am so upset, and I have to share this with you, that I left my place of business, and it was dark outside. There was no sun to soak up. There was no rays coming out the sky. I couldn't put a smile on my face because I'm looking at all the darkness around me. So I hope that you guys, even though we went back an hour this past weekend, that you are still enjoying your day, even though it's a little chilly outside and it's dark. It is so dark. But as I mentioned, every week we have to be the light in that darkness. So I did end up putting a smile on my face, once I, got used to my surroundings. And now I am happy to be before you and share with you exactly what I've been doing this past week. So I shared with you a couple of weeks ago that I was having a Voices of Unity. It was our 2nd annual, and I was so excited to bring all of the community leaders together so that we could speak about how we're going to make this world a better place. So I want to share with you exactly what took place this weekend. So the 2nd annual Voices of Unity event, in addition to my partner, So Young Lisa Grado, who is the founder of the Multicultural Council, put on a spectacular event. We bridged our voices to build a better future. The guests were amazing. We had someone named Joel Kraut come in and speak about how we can build a strong financial foundation, make sure that we have generational wealth that is going to be spread out among generations to come. We had a panel of leaders who spoke about how we as a unit can come together and share our stories and build a brighter future for our youth, because that is what is so important and what is needed right now at this moment. So many people are just dealing with so much stress and just so much depression and sadness because of the dreams that they once had are not being fully realized because of the time and the moment that we live in. But we have to encourage everyone to tell their story, to still pursue those dreams, believe in themselves, and do everything and all things possible to make sure that they make those dreams come true. No matter what the battle is, it can truly be won if we all work together. And that was the discussion that we had on how we can build a better future by working together. And though we all come from many different areas on Long Island and Westchester, we had visitors from Maryland and Connecticut and Jersey. There were so many voices in this room, but they all desired the same thing: happiness, joy, a happy family, financial security, peace, love. That's what everyone wanted. And though we came from different countries, nationalities, diverse backgrounds, we still desire to come together as one people and share in what we can do to build that together. And so it was beautiful. I enjoyed every minute of it. I had my beautiful Queen Celine come and recite a poem about being strong and soft at the same time. And how being strong is what drives us to pursue our dreams. It brings passion within ourselves. It makes us courageous. And the softness of us, it secures our emotions. It covers our heart. It makes sure that we're being compassionate and kind and loving to others. So it was a beautiful event. I hope that you guys will be able to attend the third annual event, which will be happening next year on the first Saturday of November. I'll be sharing those details at my earliest, but it was a great time had by all, and it just truly warmed my heart and just letting me realize and allowing me to see how many people out there are actually on the same mission as I. And it brought so much joy to my heart to see I'm just not alone, and making sure that this world eventually becomes unified and at peace and in love with everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter what your experiences are. So that was an event about, using your voice to come together, using your voice to stand up to the powers that be, using your voice to just share what is on your heart and how you intend to make someone else's life better. Today, we're going to talk about another voice, a voice of courage. We all need that also at this moment. We need to believe in ourselves. We have to, share who we are with others and be vulnerable in that as well. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we can't share the truth of who we are because of fear. But we have to break out of that fear. We have to realize our strength, and we have to walk boldly into our courageousness. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with an amazing young lady who I happened to meet when I was honored. She's a former honoree as well, of the Power Woman of the East End. This is an amazing woman who is doing great work, not only in her community, but in this world. So I want to tell you the title of the show is Voices of Courage, Standing Together to End the Cycle of Violence. And we'll be speaking to the beautiful Catherine, who we also call Kate Carbonaro, Esquire. And she is a dedicated attorney and advocate with over 15 years of experience supporting survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, and gender-based violence. In September 2024, she became the executive director of The Retreat, a leading Long Island nonprofit providing comprehensive services to survivors through a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline, emergency shelter, counseling, legal advocacy, prevention, education, and fatherhood programs. In this role, Kate guides the organization's strategic vision, operations, and community partnerships. Before joining The Retreat, Kate served as director of the William Randolph Hearst Public Advocacy Center, where she revitalized programs to expand access to justice for survivors of gender-based violence. She also directed public interest and pro bono initiatives, creating projects like the Name Change Project and Youth Justice Writing Workshop, while teaching courses on human trafficking and poverty law. Earlier in her career, Kate worked with the Legal Aid Society Exploitation Intervention Project, providing trauma-informed defense to survivors of sex and labor trafficking, and contributing to key policy reforms such as the START Act and the repeal of the Walking While Trans law. A graduate of St. John's University School of Law, Kate is active in professional and community organizations, including the Suffolk County Women in the Courts Committee and the Women's Diversity Network. Recognized by Long Island Business News as one of the 2023 Who's Who in Education, Kate continues to champion survivor-centered advocacy, strengthening support systems and fostering collaboration to end the cycle of violence across Long Island. So please help me welcome the beautiful and passionate, I see, Kate Carbonaro. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I am so honored and grateful that, meeting you at the Power Women of the East End Award ceremony, I knew you were a power player in this world, a leader in what you do, and it's truly my honor to have you here, especially to talk about this very important topic. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, again, we mentioned that she works with the retreat. You're an executive director. Right. It's only been a year. Tell me.
It's been a year.
It's only been a year, but how do you feel about this new role and your position and how is the job going?
Yeah, so it's been a crazy year to take over a nonprofit in general.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of turmoil, a lot of changes within the nonprofit world. I do love this job. I do love it, and it's something that, for me, I have 3 little kids, and so it's really important that I love what I'm doing. Yes. Otherwise, I don't really want to spend that much time away. And I'm away a lot. Right. But I love this work. But it has been a really tough year for nonprofits. I know. And for survivors. And I know this is across the country, but on Long Island, I mean, there's a housing crisis. Yes. There's so many issues that our clients are facing. Yes. And it feels like a really important duty to try to represent the people that we do, right. But it's an uphill battle. No, I totally get it. So it's been great. The staff I work with, they're just so great and dedicated because, nonprofits, you don't do that work if you're not incredibly dedicated.
Exactly.
Because it's hard to, because we work with survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual abuse. It's not a light job. It's not an easy job. Nope. And yet we have people on the staff that just, they love it, and they do it, and they work hard, and I'm grateful for them because they're really in it. They're our shelter staff, our director, they're in committed. The work. Yes. They're committed, they're doing it, and they help me because, this year I started September, right, and then it was just the end of January that all the federal grants got pulled back.
I heard, yes.
And that was just really awful. And then from there, it's been a tough year. And so we've just been trying to figure out how do we serve as many survivors as we can with limited resources. Right. And we're trying to expand because the need is just, it's high.
No, I could imagine. And the fact that you want to be that safe haven for them and have been providing them with this care and the services that you guys offer for all of this time, it hasn't come to a dead stop, right? I mean, you are finding, areas that you can kind of penetrate to make sure that the services, the programs are ongoing, but it's just a grind of trying to keep the money funneling in. Exactly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so we have a large budget, right? But then when you look at the amount of services we do,
yes,
right, it's broken down because we have a shelter for survivors. It's a secret location. Right. There's only 18 beds there.
Oh, wow.
But there's only right now about 40 beds on Long Island for survivors of domestic violence and trafficking.
Oh, wow.
All of it. That's Nassau and Suffolk.
40 beds total?
Yeah, right now. And even a year ago, so I started September, there were about 70 beds.
Right.
Then in March, the Safe Center shut down, which was an organization in Nassau.
Right.
That took away 18 beds. One of our, an organization we're really friendly with, there was a fire recently. That took away 18 beds. Oh, my God. And so, that's just one part of it, but the housing crisis, people are struggling when somebody finally leaves an abusive house, yes, often with their children, because we have a lot of children in the shelter. Right now we have so many kids there. They're leaving, they're fleeing, and where do they go?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so that's something that, while I say we only have 18 beds, we have 18 beds. We have a pretty big portion of the beds.
Yeah.
And I just, being there and seeing that need, it's incredible. I mean, it's awful that it's needed, but I also realize, yes, there's all these crises, but we need more beds. We need more space for people.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And with the amount of property, and I know it sounds so simplistic, and I can be, I sort of generalize things, but it's only because of what I see. With all of the property that is going unused, untouched, there should be sanctuaries for these types of situations everywhere. In every town, there should be a location. That is so unfortunate. So when you say these 18 beds, how long are they able to occupy these 18 beds?
So based on the Department of Social Service rules, because we run the shelter,
Right.
but it is, we have to get licensed through the state. And so people are allowed to stay in a domestic violence shelter for 6 months, max.
Okay.
So they stay for 45 days. If they still need, we ask for more time. So 6 months is the absolute max that you can stay.
Wow.
And then where do you go?
Exactly.
Right. And so then we have a transitional housing program. We just found out we got a new year grant on that the day before the shutdown. So that's why there's all these different things, but we're hopeful when the shutdown ends that we'll be able to at least get 6 to 7 clients and their kids in a transitional housing. So paying their rent for 2, maybe 3 years.
Okay, good.
Right, which is great.
Yes.
It's great, but it's like 6 or 7 people, which is important, every single person.
Right.
But, we think when someone's leaving our shelter, right, let's just say you leave an abusive partner. People say it takes 7, 8 times to leave. You finally leave with your children.
Right.
You get to the retreat. You have 6 months of trying to rebuild.
Right.
It's like you're not immediately looking for a job on day one because you're recovering from
The trauma.
There's
Yes.
just trauma. And then you have kids. You're trying to get your kids to recover from trauma.
Right.
So we've got counselors, case managers. We have a Take Charge program, which is great because they really do financial empowerment for survivors.
Good.
But then 6 months goes by so quick.
Yeah.
And now, whether you have a job or not, you have to find your own place. And then what happens?
And it's like you're kicking them out into the world to start,
It's
or to
awful.
literally start all over again,
Yeah, so
oh my God.
And that's like we do counseling. We have a lot of services for the people at our shelter.
Right.
And even if people aren't in our shelter, all of our services are free.
Okay,
All
good.
of our services go all over Long Island. We do have some services on the East End, which is unique because there's not a lot
Right.
of services out there. But then we have an office in Hauppauge, Riverhead, Central Islip. We just started getting into Nassau a little bit. So we're getting out there. The work is so important, but it just feels like this year, I mean, especially with SNAP benefits, right? Like a lot of clients, they don't have benefits that we're trying to help. And so
and you're trying to pull from every resource that you possibly can, and not wanting to let them down, especially if you advertise that this is what you do, this is how we serve.
That's right.
So out of these families, and I could imagine the stories that you gotta take on every single day, and like you said, everyone deserves the help. Is there a time or a moment that you have to decide based on the severity of the situation on who is going to get the transitional home or who's going to get that bed? Is there ever those moments that actually come about, or are you sending them to Brooklyn or to another, borough to be cared for?
It's a good question, and it's hard because I never want to be saying, oh, your story is worse than that story, because they're all so hard.
Yeah.
We really do it on first come, first serve basis, as long as somebody is a survivor, is fleeing a situation, right? And then they'll get into our shelter. If we have beds, there's Long Island Against Domestic Violence, Brighter Tomorrows, those are other organizations. And then we have a lot of relationships with New York City, upstate. So if somebody says, I live in this area, which is near the shelter, we might say, you know what, this isn't a safe place for you.
Right.
Let's see if we can get you in New York City or upstate. So we definitely are always trying to move people if they need to be for safety or if we don't have space. Okay. And we'll always try to find somewhere for somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's one tiny part of it, but it's a big part, right? If you look at the numbers, it's like, oh, okay, you serve about 90 people in the shelter a year. But what we're doing in that shelter, it's life-changing in ways, and that's why the shelter staff, we have this director who's fairly new. She came in a couple months after me, and she's in it. She gets it. She understands what it's like. She like she just knows what to do, and that makes me realize you need people that are going to be like that.
Yeah. No,
So
you're
you can
absolutely
rely
right.
on them because it is hard.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's hard. You don't want to let people down.
Yes.
And
And it's not just a job, punch the clock, let me get what I need to
No.
get done. Like, you become invested in their story. And I totally understand that. How are the staff in terms of that? I mean, I'm sure you're taking on a lot of the weight of your clients, let's say.
Yeah.
So how do you guys sort of have a retreat for yourselves? What do
Yeah.
you do?
well, it's really important for me because now I'm not in the direct service. I'm there, but I'm not in it every day. But I used to be, and I really, there was a period of time after I had my kids. It was after COVID. I remember working on all these motions with survivors to try to get their records vacated.
Right.
Really important work, and I was getting so burnt out, and I felt like I just couldn't focus. I couldn't be my best self
Yeah.
with it.
Right.
And so that's something I think about with our staff a lot. So we have an amazing HR director, her name's Jenna, and she does a lot of self-care activities. Right? Like she'll just do, and I love it because if you don't want to come, that's okay. But even she did something where we were just coloring, we brought donuts, we sat around. It was more just about being together, not talking about everything. When one of our staff was like, I just like sitting at the beach. That's my self-care. I'm like, do that.
Yeah.
Do whatever it is. We really try to encourage people to do that. But I will say, you can encourage people, but a lot of our staff, they're just so dedicated. They end up doing so much. And I'm like, please, don't.
some time. Exactly.
Don't, because if you burn out, then you're no good for yourself, your family, or our
the
clients.
families. Exactly.
Right. So it is important, and I think especially this year, seeing the suffering of a survivor, but then also getting some, different grants, getting them taken away, people being worried about their jobs, their clients' jobs, their food. It's something we really are trying to support people, and it's important because you're not going to be able to do this work long term if you don't take care of yourself.
Right.
Take time with your kids, with your phone away, with
Yeah.
your computer away, which I need to get better at.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it, but
We all need
it's
that, Kate.
hard.
We
I'm like,
all need that. You are so right. Well, I'm glad that you are at least putting certain things in place in order to ensure that they're taking care of their psyche, their mental and their emotional, just mindsets. Because I can imagine, having these calls and seeing these families and wanting to help and seeing the trauma on their face. It has to be so heart-wrenching and a gut punch sometimes when you can't do everything in all things that you want to do for them. So I'm loving the fact that they have some moments of self-care. Well, let me ask you, the retreat offers everything from shelter to legal advocacy and prevention programs. How do these services work together to support the healing and the long-term empowerment that your clients need?
Yeah, so I think about the hotline. That's the
Okay.
first line. People call the hotline, and then maybe they need shelter, right? But maybe they don't.
Right.
If they need shelter, that's where they go, and then we're able to give them all the wraparound services.
Okay.
But a lot of people call and they're not sure. They're thinking, maybe I want to leave this person. I don't know.
Right.
Is this even abuse? What's happening, right? So our hotline, it's a small but mighty staff, and they really are the front line of
Right.
saying, what's going on? Can we help you?
Right.
And then from there, they refer people to the different departments, right?
Okay.
So we have a counseling department. That counseling department, they're clinicians, they are licensed, they are amazing. They start at 4 years old.
Oh.
So we have 4-year-olds, and then we have 94-year-olds. We have, we start young. They really have done this training called sand play therapy.
Right.
So they have these sand tables, these sand trays. The kids will pick out we call them little guys, like they're little figurines, and they'll use them. And so we start at 4 and we go all the way up. And so counselors are in East Hampton. They do some work in Nassau. They do virtual work. They're in Hop Hog. So that's a big, important part of this because we're talking about trauma.
Right.
And yes, when someone's in an emergency, they might need housing and legal and money, but they also need to get the trauma healed.
Right.
And the kids need to as much. So
Right.
some of the kids are survivors themselves. Some of them have witnessed abuse, their parent being abused, right? And then there's parent and child who have been a part of it.
Right.
So that's the counseling department. They are great. They work everywhere. Then we have our legal advocacy department. And I'm a lawyer, so I'm always in there. I know what's
Right.
happening a little bit more in there because I'm a lawyer, but we have one lawyer right now,
Right.
hoping to get more. And then we have our advocates. And that advocacy department, it's led by Patrina, who is the best, and she really just gets it.
Oh, wow.
You know, like she works with clients, she meets them where they are, she says, what do you need? And then figures out, can we help you with this, right? So maybe they need an order of protection. Maybe they have a court case against their abuser. They don't want to go by themselves, even with their lawyer. A lawyer's busy. They're doing all this stuff.
Thank
They're
you.
not like helping you,
No,
sitting with you all the time.
exactly. It's just let's deal with the case at hand.
Yeah,
and
which
you
is like-
find all the resources. Exactly.
And which can be really hard and stressful. And
Yeah.
even as a lawyer, I know I wasn't always able to be present because I was dealing with the legal issues.
right.
So our advocates are there, sitting next to them, literally with them, helping. Oh, do you need to go to DSS? Do you need this? Do you need this? Right? Like doing all of that. And then we have our lawyer who, like I said, they do divorces sometimes.
Oh, wow.
For people who are survivors. Very, very, very rare to get somebody to do that in a nonprofit because it's so expensive.
Right.
Right? And lawyers, they can get a lot of money for divorces. And so a lot of lawyers who know how to do divorces, they're like, okay, that's all right, we'll do this. But I will say we're always looking for lawyers who want to do a nonprofit case here and there
Right.
because I will, you know, it's very, very important when survivors get away from an abusive partner to be able to get that divorce.
Exactly.
Often they can't because they say, all right, I got away, I'm safe, but I'm going to have to stay married to this person. And I don't want to, but there's nothing I can do. So
Right.
we have our lawyer as well. We have another program that we partner with Northwell Health. It's called Project Connect Plus.
Okay.
What they do is they work with people on the hotline, other clients who have substance use issues,
Okay.
or maybe their family has a substance use issue, a family member. And they help just to connect them to a provider who's going to help. Not, hey, call this person, but
Right.
a warm referral, here's your support. Right? Because we don't do in-house substance use,
Right.
but we wanted to be able to support people.
Right.
So we do that. And then we have our prevention education department, which, and I've said this and I mean it, the prevention education department it's why I was so interested in the retreat.
Okay.
Because as a public defender who used to represent people accused of all kinds of crimes, right?
Right.
What was the common thing was a lot of them were survivors. Whatever they got arrested for was what it was.
Right.
A lot of those clients, though, said to me, I was abused as a child, right? Like, I grew up in the streets. This is my background. And I started to see that and be like, oh.
There's a common thread.
Right.
Yes.
And I get it. I'm not excusing behavior. I think
right.
sometimes people are like, how could you represent survivors and have done that job? But my feeling is like, people are people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I tell my kids this. I'm like, people aren't bad.
That's right.
Sometimes they do bad things.
Yes. But it comes from somewhere.
It does. Right. We're not born in a vacuum
Thank
as an
you.
adult.
Oh my God. I just had a
Yeah.
conversation with someone about that
It's
today.
so important.
Yes. And it could have been their upbringing that, laid the foundation for the people and the person that they are today and why they do the things they do.
And it often is, right? And I think
Yes.
that's the part where my background as a public defender, like I said, sometimes people are really confused about that.
Right.
And sometimes people are horrified. They're like, you represented people who were accused of assaulting their wives? I'm like, yes, I
Yes.
did. I represented anybody because the Constitution demands that we have representation.
Yeah.
And that's not just anyone. You want it to be somebody who cares. And that really opened my eyes to, the cycle of violence. And I
right.
think people say the cycle of violence. Some people don't love that term. I think of it not as if you're involved in this cycle, it's your fault. I think of it like you're not born in a vacuum.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that kid who witnessed their dad hurting their mom, then grew up, ended up being in the foster care system, right? Like this, and then what happened?
Yes, it
right?
becomes a cycle.
It becomes a
exactly
cycle.
a generational cycle.
generational
And you
cycle.
don't realize that there's something different because that's all you know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's the thing. So this ties to the prevention education because what our prevention education department does is they get in
Right.
when somebody's young. They
Right.
don't get in when there's abuse necessarily.
Right.
But they go into schools starting in first grade and they talk about it in an age appropriate way. But like, this is abuse. This is what isn't allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, if you're being, God forbid, sexually abused, right? You don't know that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
You just don't know.
You don't.
Right? And so then all of a sudden you're in the world not even realizing what's happening to you. And so our feeling is the more we can educate people, the more we can say to kids, this is a bad touch. This is okay. This is what, like in an age appropriate way, but it goes from first grade to 12th grade.
Right.
And we go into the different schools and we go into classes, we talk to the kids about it.
Great.
Just to like, say to them,
Yes.
we have like a boundary bubble,
Right.
And it's something that I find incredibly important as a parent,
Right.
because now my kids are getting older, they're in the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do to protect them? Like,
Yes.
we can't protect them.
Every single moment. You're absolutely right.
We can't. Like,
You
we
can't.
have to educate them to protect themselves
Yes.
and to know what's not okay.
Yes.
Right? And so our prevention education department has a few different arms, but that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a prevention program. It's called the Long Island Fatherhood Initiative.
Okay.
Or LIFI. We help in Nassau and Suffolk County. This program is just, I love it because there's nothing like this on Long
Right.
Island. It's a federally funded program. So we got this grant award the day before the shutdown also.
Oh, wow.
And so we've had it 15 years.
Okay.
And this is our fourth cycle.
Okay.
This program will be operational come January. We're getting all ready now. But what they do is they work with fathers
Right.
or father figures. Doesn't have to be a biological father. Could be a grandfather who has custody or an uncle who is very involved in the kid's life.
Right, right.
And they do all for free case management. So what do you need, right? You need help getting a job? We're going to help you. You need to go get your benefits? We're going to help you. Wow. We also have an educational program.
Right.
And again, this is free. This isn't court mandated. This isn't some forced thing that you make people do.
Right.
Because that doesn't usually help.
True.
Right. I mean, it can, but like it doesn't always.
Not always.
But a lot of all these fathers are doing it voluntarily.
Right.
Some of them owe child support. Some of them have been incarcerated. Some of them are survivors themselves. Wow. And so we don't just help one kind of father. We
Right.
help anyone who's a father
Right.
who might need our support.
Right.
And the new grant cycle is great because we have money in there to help people actually get jobs. Not to say, we hope you get a job, here's your resume.
Right.
But like, then we're gonna take those 5 more steps. We're gonna get you interviews. We have partners that are working with us on Long Island to actually get that last step. Because the thing is, people are like, people don't want to work. Yes, they do. They
Yes.
just, right? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
And it's having a job where you're feeling dignity.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you go to work, I go to work, we feel like we're doing what we want to do.
We're contributing to society, and
Right.
a lot of people want that.
I do think that,
I
especially
truly believe that.
parents.
Of course,
I think fathers, they see that and they want that. And so our program really goes in, it helps all different kinds of fathers, all different people
Right.
that are fathers. Doesn't matter their income level. A lot of
Right.
our fathers are lower income.
Right.
Some of them, like I said, are coming out from being incarcerated and they want to get back on their feet. And so we get in there and we help and we do an educational course, teach them about like maybe you were abused. What does it mean to discipline your kid?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
nobody ever taught me any of this stuff, right? But I had other resources.
Right.
A lot of these fathers don't. And so our educators are in there. We have case management educators. And so that program too, anytime someone says like, how does a DV organization help fathers? Like, why are you helping fathers? I'm like, because the children,
Yes,
also the
exactly.
fathers, right?
Thank you.
But it's like, what's the goal here?
Yeah.
We can help as many survivors as possible in our shelter.
Right.
But if that abuse continues,
Thank you.
then what are we doing?
And if they don't recognize it, by the example that you're setting,
Right.
then they'll go right back into it.
It's
It sounds
true.
like this retreat is a one-stop shop.
It is.
And I love it. And what it also sounds like to me is that you're laying the roots for a better family after, I don't know if it's graduate, transition out of it, but you're laying a foundation for a better family structure and an idea of how it can be had. I love that.
Thank
I
you.
love
I love the way you
everything.
describe it, like that roots, because that's it. Like
Yes.
that's the whole thing here. If we want a better future for people, if we want things, like I feel, and I bet you feel like we can't just wallow in things are terrible.
No.
Things are tough.
Yes, they
But
are.
we have to feel like there's hope.
Yep.
Because otherwise, what are we doing,
Thank
right?
you.
And so I think with this part, this gives us hope, but it also gives these families hope, and it helps to be able to know, like, yeah, maybe my child did see this terrible abuse, but we're gonna stop that. We're gonna help
right.
it.
That's right.
And so it does. That's why sometimes, this is an apolitical issue. Like abuse to me, it's not. Yes, we have to like ask different parties for money in the government, but we are just trying to help survivors.
Right.
And I can't imagine that everyone wouldn't be behind that.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I totally agree with
Because it's
that.
like we're helping society, we're in there. And so we have, like you said in the beginning, like we're doing okay for sure, like we're here, we're strong, but this year has been tough. And so it's something we're trying to, I think nonprofits are resilient.
Yes, they are.
Because they have to be.
Yes.
And I think people that work in nonprofits and work in this world trying to help people, they have to be resilient, because otherwise, like if I start saying there's nothing we can do, then everyone else is going to feel like, in my staff, like,
exactly. Thank you. What are we doing? Why are we here? We're gonna have to shut the doors. No, there's hope in that. And again, it might be some angel investor, donor, or someone, if they see exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. And again, from soup to nuts, it's from the trauma to the victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to the healing,
from
right.
The healing. Like I've overcome it now, and they've showed me every step on how to get that done. And there can't be any excuses, because you're even providing the outlets for them to make themselves upstanding citizens.
Yeah,
you know,
to get
even
things they
after it, to
need.
get the things that they need. And the beauty of it all also is the families, the father service that you have. Because again, a lot of fathers, and I know this, just from, the people that I know, they don't realize they were abused as children. A lot of times, if a male figure in their life was being hard on them or abusing them or hurting them, in their mind, it's to teach me to be a man, it's to teach me to be strong, it's to teach me to be aggressive. And then when they find their mates or they find their family, they're just recycling that whole type of, mantra and attitude. And it's unfortunate. They don't realize that it harmed them in their life. And so to know that you have this service for fathers that is teaching them and showing them how they can overcome that, get past it, and grow from it, and learn better on how to treat, their significant other and their children, I think is fabulous. And then also opening up the door for them to, get a job, and be able to support their family. Because a lot of times in abusive relationships, that's what it is. A man is, I'm not able to support my family the way I want to. I'm not living up to my expectation. It's so many different stories.
There's so many things.
Yeah, there's
right.
so many things. But okay, so what are some of the challenges? And I understand you said, obviously, right now it's the funding, but what are some of the challenges your team faces when providing the trauma-informed care, and how do you support the caregivers as well? Because I know the staff, we have our self-care day, but what about in terms of with the father program, and what about with the children? Like, what are you doing to support those people that are helping?
Yeah, because that's important, to support the people that are helping the kids.
Yes.
And so what we try to do, and what a lot of friends and families of even the staff will say, like, how can we help? My friend said, how could I help for Thanksgiving, right? And what we do is we really try to support whatever they need.
Okay.
And so, for instance, the holidays coming up, right? And so we'll say, there's people that will buy gifts for the family. And they'll buy gifts for the parent too.
Nice.
Right? And the parent's usually like, I don't want anything, and we're like, just put something on a list, right? Maybe we won't get it, but we'll try. And I think just even that, like recognizing that you have needs when you're taking care of somebody, especially somebody that's in trauma, right? Because we do see kids that are sexually abused outside of the house, or that have had who've been trafficked. And there's usually a parent that's trying to help and trying to heal their child. They're also going through it because they can't imagine that this happened, right? And so we try to take care of the parents. We try, especially at the shelter, sometimes we'll get people to come and like do everyone's hair and do everyone's makeup, and we'll just try to help them in the community, to support them and to do whatever they need with their kids. We have a lot of different, people on the East End that help with getting, like the Children's Museum of the East End will say, come on down for free, right? We have a lot of partners in the community that when they know what we're doing, they want to support the parents. And same with the fatherhood group. A lot of the fathers that we work with are single fathers. And so those fathers, right, and again, these aren't all fathers that are accused of abuse. Some of these fathers are victims themselves of gang violence, of other things. And they are the sole caretaker of their kids. And so we try to take care of them too. Right? Even if it's just here's like right now, we're saying, one of my friends said, how can I help? I was like, Stop and Shop gift cards.
Yes.
Right? Like if And so that's something too. It's something as simple as like, here, so you can get, you know, groceries, right? Like
candy for Halloween, whatever.
Whatever.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I
And like,
get
I
it.
know Long Island Harvest they're so generous. They always give us some turkeys for families. Like, it's that kind of thing that the community organizations that we work with are so supportive. And it's nice. It's what we need, really.
Exactly. No,
yeah.
it's truly, truly important. Not just the employees, but the people around you guys, your family, your friends, and the community at large, I think is so important. Well, many people assume domestic violence happens somewhere else. What would you say to those who may not realize how close to home this issue truly is?
Yeah, it's a very good question because so many people say that. And so many people, when they see one of our offices are out east, they say, well, that doesn't happen on the East End. But it does. It happens everywhere. And that's why we don't ask for people's incomes. We don't say, oh, you have to be X, Y, and Z to come to us.
Right.
Because we know domestic violence and trafficking, it's everywhere.
Yes.
It's on the East End, it's in Nassau, it's in every town, even the towns that people think it wouldn't be in. And I try to be gentle when I talk about it because nobody wants to think that's going to happen
In my neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not here. Oh, maybe that happens
Not
there.
here.
But it does.
Yes.
I mean, and for domestic violence, the rates of domestic violence have been increasing. During COVID, they were high, but people were trapped. Awful trapped. And then after that, they've continued to increase. We see another increase this year in Suffolk County. This year, the court in Suffolk County, it's called the Erin Court. A judge, his name is Judge Camacho, created this court for young kids that are sexually exploited. They had to create a court for kids that are at risk of trafficking or being trafficked.
Oh my God.
And just that alone, it's like,
Yes, that's a little
wait,
jarring.
why would
Are
you do
saying, yes.
I know that. And so I worked with Judge Camacho before I came to the retreat, and our counselors at the retreat are in that court trying to help young people. And while that's scary, you know, a lot of people say, oh, there must be people from other countries. No, it's everyone.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It doesn't matter if you grew up in a nice house or a hard house. Like, yes, there's vulnerabilities that make people more likely to be trafficked. But, you know, it really is everywhere. And I think it's important, and I'm glad you're asking that, because when people think it's everywhere else, then they think it's not something they have to support because they're like, oh, that's so sad. That's not here.
Yeah, it's not happening
It's
to
not
me.
happening here.
I don't know anyone dealing with that issue. Yeah.
And I mean, even just the way that the retreat started, it was on the East End in a nice community, a nice, you know, I say a nice community. It was a high net worth community. And there were so many people that were being abused. They didn't know where to go with their kids, and there were no shelters. And so people in the community said, you could stay in my basement, you could stay in my room. And it ended up happening so much that they created the shelter.
Wow.
And so I think that's a very good microcosm for people to see, because this is everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's in families that you would never imagine. It's in families that, you know, it is in every part of society. And that's why it's so important to educate people about it, because if you know what to look for, if you know where it might be, right, for teachers, social workers, people in the schools, that's why we're always doing education with schools. We do an education with medical residents and dental residents too.
Wow.
Because yes, you go to medical school and dental school, you know how to do that. You might not know the bedside manner of talking to a survivor.
Very true.
Right?
Very
and
true.
so yes, some people do, but I will say that something where we go in and we're like, listen, if you think this is happening, don't panic. These are some trauma-informed ways you can talk to people, because it seems like we do trainings with the police department too, right? We do trainings everywhere,
Right.
because I think the more people who know just that it's existing, that it's there, that we're here, that there's support, that they don't, you know, people get worried because they say, oh my gosh, I think that person's being abused. I don't know how to involve myself in it.
Right.
It's not even, like, you don't have to involve yourself.
Thank you.
Right? You can give a card, you can just, whatever.
A nudge,
right.
Or ask a question and let them realize that, hey,
Yeah.
maybe it's showing, I should get help. Yeah.
Right? It's just having that going.
Yeah.
We go to doctor's offices. We say, if you could just lay this out. One of my friends, a midwife, I'm like, if you could put our brochures out, because during pregnancy, a lot of women get abused too. So it's really the education, you know, and I say that being a direct service organization, but like the education for everyone everywhere is how we stop this too.
And I mean, you don't know what it looks like. You really don't. A lot of people put on a brave face, you know?
Yeah.
How do we, and I understand that you're going to these different places and organizations and schools, but for people like me that is just, this is my friend or this is my coworker, what do you think we should do? What kind of signs should we be looking for to determine that there is something going on? Because I think that it's more obvious than we would like to believe.
Right, I think so too.
Yeah.
And some of the signs that we tell people to look for is somebody who is, very heavily controlled by their partner. So I don't mean they're like, wow, that skirt's short, right?
Right.
It's that and over, controlling people. It's hard now because of social media. So
Right.
people are like, oh no, it's, in their phones, they're like, oh, we track each other. But sometimes it goes to this extreme of like, yeah, he doesn't like when I hang out with those friends, and he doesn't like when I do this, and he doesn't like when I eat that, and he doesn't let my kids do this and this. And so as a friend or family member, sometimes you see this, this controlling thing that you think, oh, he's kind of controlling, and then it goes to an extreme where you're like, oh, this doesn't seem right.
Right.
Of course there's the physical signs, there's bruises, things like that, but it goes so much far beyond that,
Yes.
right? It's somebody not being able to maybe even see you, not being able to go to the events that they used to go to with you because their partner doesn't want them to,
Yeah.
right? When people have a child, now they're not allowed to go out, right? All of a sudden there's more control that's happening. It's just these little signs which make it hard to know because abusers are, by design, very manipulative.
Yes.
And so it's something that person will slowly start to get in, like they'll slowly start to be in this. They don't even realize what's happening.
Right.
But you, right, as a friend or family member might see this and say, wow, Jennifer's like really different. Her boyfriend won't let me see her anymore. Her husband won't. This is so weird. I don't understand. Like, and you'll see the way they are together, right? And what I say to people is, never do something that's going to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
Well, I should say, sometimes you should do things that make you uncomfortable. Never do things that's going to put you in harm's way. Don't do
Yes.
something, right, that I remember this is like a memory. We were at the Bronx Zoo when I was little, and there was a father, and he hit his child really hard right in front of us.
Right.
And my mom, she was like, what do I do? And like, she kind of went over and was like in it a little to try to kind of just get the guy's attention away from
Right.
it. And I remember being a little kid and being like, oh my gosh, my mom's gonna get hurt too. Like, what's he doing, right? It's just a memory that I have because I remember being like, oh my, like no one's ever done that to me. Why would he do that,
Right.
And so that's something where it kind of goes on the barrier of like, you don't
that was
want
what
to,
yeah.
like you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to hurt yourself. But something I saw recently is, when you see something like that, maybe just walk over and be like, oh, what time is it? Do you know what time it is, right? Like
Distracting,
right? Like
yes.
distracted. But you do have to be really safe.
Yeah, you
and
do.
so you can always call authorities if you feel like it. And if it's somebody it's something where you could even write the retreats number, another organization, and just say like,
And just pass it
maybe
on.
that's maybe not, right? You send them something. A lot of the websites for survivor organizations
Right.
will have a safe exit.
Okay.
So you sign on, and it'll say you might be tracked. So make sure you exit. And so there's things like that. When clients come to our shelter, we make sure they take off their location services. We make sure their kids' phones don't have it. We check their cars,
Yes.
right? Like, it's really insidious the way people can track people now.
It is. It's really sick,
It's
actually.
really sick.
It's scary, and it's unnecessary, but this is the controlling part of people who want to be able to manipulate and unfortunately just keep a person underneath their control for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Awful.
I gotta ask, like, what made you get involved in this type of work? I read your bio. Yes, you're a lawyer, but you've been a lawyer who has been so passionate about advocacy work, especially for sex trafficking, violence,
I did a
transgender
lot of work with
individuals.
transgender
Yeah. So
clients.
tell me, how did you become so
Yeah.
involved in this type of work?
So when I went to law school, I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know how. I was a social work undergrad, right? Like I didn't know. And then when I became a lawyer, I kind of fell into public defense. I did an internship, loved it because I started seeing how you can give people support they never had.
Right.
Then when I was a public defender, I mean, you start seeing all of the trauma, right? All of the secondary trauma, all of the trauma that somebody's carrying, the generational trauma. And so while I was there, I represented a young woman who was arrested for trafficking. Okay,
Wow.
so she's arrested for trafficking.
Oh, wow.
She's 17. she might have even been 16 because it was a long time ago. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I remembered from my training, there was this woman, her name was Kate Mogilescu. She was a lawyer, public defender,
Right.
who represented survivors who were criminalized, right? So we call it criminalized survivors. It's a survivor who is criminalized, arrested, because of something. So I called her and was like, listen, I don't know, I just started this job a year ago, but this client is saying that she is being trafficked and she got arrested for trafficking and she's 16 and she told me all these things that happened to her. And so she got involved and it ended up that she was being trafficked in a horrific way.
Oh my God.
And so now this client is arrested for an incredibly serious charge and she's a survivor. So I had a kind of a backseat to it because I really gave it over to her. I was so new. And then from that, she created, not from that case, but just from all of this, because this was happening often, she created a project called the Exploitation Intervention Project. It's a project that still exists in New York City Legal Aid Society. And I joined that project as soon as I could. And so we work with criminalized survivors. So I worked in Queens. A lot of my clients were Korean women, were Chinese women who were trafficked, who were abused. A lot of my clients were from Central America. A lot of my clients were trans women who were sex workers, some of them. Some of them had been trafficked, right? Sometimes there's an overlap. You're trafficked and then you do sex work. And so that is how I got into it in a different way, because now I was working with all of these clients, learning their stories, telling their stories to judges and DAs and saying to them, I know you arrested them, and I'm not even saying they didn't necessarily,
do it. Exactly,
but
right.
like this is survival.
Yep.
And so I did that, loved it. We ended up, I mean, it was stressful, but I really liked it, and I did that for a while, and that's kind of how it opened this whole new world to me of, wow, there's all these people who are being criminalized.
Right.
And I'm not saying, you know, that everyone isn't a survivor being criminalized, right? But these were just a specific group of people who were trafficked, who were a lot of the time domestic violence victims would get arrested, often when their partner spoke English and they didn't. And so the police would come and the partner would be like,
yes,
yeah, she's crazy,
my
she hurt me.
God.
And then the police officer, you know, this is in the Bronx and in Queens is where I work, they'd be like, all right, yeah, she's great. I'm gonna take her in, right? And then I'd meet her with an interpreter, and the person would be like, "I got beat up. Look at what happened to me. This is what happened." So it was kind of digging out for these clients how they got involved in this, which really got me into this place of like, wow, I just want to help people like that are in this situation. Because often nobody wants to do that, or they don't understand it and they don't get it, and they think if you're a survivor, you would never be a criminal. And if you're victimized, everybody will want to help you. That's not the reality.
Well, my question is, when did this become more prevalent? Because I have to assume, because back in the day it was just prostitution, you know, and I think, you know, people just got accustomed to it. It was normal. And no one considered it to be a crime necessarily. You know, they sort of accepted it. So when did this become like, this is serious business, it needs to be brought to the forefront, and we need to create these services that are actually going to be able to help them? When did you notice that this sort of swung the pendulum a little bit?
I mean, I would say, and I wasn't, you know, not that I was a public defender in the 70s, but in the 70s is when they really started criminalizing prostitution, right? Before that, it was kind of happening, nobody did anything. That's also when trafficking started getting bigger, because people started to realize, oh, I can make money off this person. Oh, I can make it over and over. When I started as a public defender in 2010, people would come through arraignments, right? Women would come through, they have a case, and we would just say, oh, okay, the judge would say, I'll give you 90 days. I'm like, can we have 60? Okay. So survivors were getting 90, 60, 6 months in jail, right? And they're just like, oh, it's a prostitute. Oh, that's how they used to talk about it. And that isn't that long ago. Then we started in like, I would say 2013, 14, that's when this program was created. And that's when people started to realize, you know, wow, if you're getting arrested 5 times for prostitution, maybe there's something else.
Yep, there's
right?
something more to this.
There's something more. So that's when programs started saying, like, we can help with it. And I'm glad they did.
I am too.
'Cause
and you at the forefront, my friend. I love it. Well, we are winding down in time. I just want to ask you, oh God, we're talking about courage today. Can you paint a picture of what courage looks like in the lives of the people you serve? And what does healing look like on the other side of trauma?
yeah. So I would say courage looks like finding the momentum to take your kids out of a really scary situation, right? And I'm not saying that you're not courageous for staying in it, because sometimes you have to stay to protect yourself and your kids. So I would say courage looks like a survivor deciding to do something that's going to protect themselves and their children, even when they know it's going to be scary, and even when they know it might get hard for a little. And I would say on the other side, right, healing looks like that person being so proud of themselves that they did this thing that they cannot believe they did. Whether it's staying for a little to try to get a good way out, right? Or whether it's going into a shelter when you've never been in a shelter, bringing your kids out of their beautiful school district, getting them into another school district, just to know that you needed to save yourself. Yes. Right? Like, that is where I see that a lot, and it is something I'm in awe of every single time I see it.
I love that. And it is. It's just building up that desire and the just the notion that there is something better on the other side of this, and you don't have to tolerate it for much longer.
Right.
And you have to step into it, as I mentioned earlier in the show. You have to step into your strength and your power. We all have it within us. Yeah. It's just owning it and realizing that no matter what, we deserve to be happy. We deserve to be free, and we deserve to walk in that authority that God has given us. So I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I so appreciate you being here. One last question. If you could speak directly to someone watching who hasn't yet found their courage to leave, reach out, or speak up, what would you say to them?
I would say reach out to us, right? Reach out to the retreat. Call our hotline. Even if you just need to talk to somebody, to know that there's something better, that there's something that we can do to help you. We have clients call all the time that say, I don't know if I'm ready to leave. I just want to know what my options are. And that's okay, right? Like that, just making a phone call to know what else is there, right? Just doing these things that at least give you the hope that you don't have to stay in this situation, even though it feels like it's forever.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kate,
you.
for
Thank you for
being
having
here.
me.
You have been amazing. That was some great information. Please, let's put up her information as well. You can reach out to her at the retreat. There is their their website and the 24/7 hotline, as well as follow the organization on Instagram at All Against Abuse as well.
Oh, and we have a thrift store. I should have said it earlier, but it's really great. It's in Bridgehampton.
All right, so we contact her, and she'll share all those details with you. I thank you again so much for being here. All right, guys, I want to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. And it is, dare to be the voice that speaks when silence feels easier. Courage is not always loud. It's the quiet act of standing tall, speaking truth, and walking toward peace. True strength is found in choosing hope over fear and love over pain. Today, dare to be courage, to inspire healing, to uplift others, and to stand for what is right. And that is what we have been sharing with you today. Go out there and walk in your power and your courage. Be fearless to everything that actually wants to stand up against you, because you have the authority to do so. I want to thank our guest, Kate Carbonara, for being here. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to a wonderful episode of You're Our Unity. We will see you in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, I want you to remember that peace and love is in the palm of our hands. So let's go out there and be some love, share some love, and just walk in love. Have a wonderful evening. I love you, and we'll see you soon. Say good night, Kate.